I'm sorry I've been gone for 2 weeks. I went on vacation for a while, and then I came back and my webcam didn't really work anymore, so I had to buy a new one. And it's a real one too, and not just a crappy laptop one. So, yeah, that's nice. So, anyways, I thought I'd start off our week with a nice little round bout of broccoli. Because broccoli always has great videos that, are always a good laugh to just utterly take apart. However, I've learnt that broccoli's words aren't his own. That's really, really sad. I mean, here was I thinking, oh, well, it's okay because, this is just him in front of a camera babbling about. He has no idea what he's talking about, obviously. He just basically turns on the camera and just starts talking. However, I've learned that these are actually not his ideas. And, Brock, I actually thought this is a bit low for you, I think. Stealing somebody else's words, do you understand just how serious that is? That goes beyond lying and dishonesty. You're claiming somebody else's hard-earned work as your own. You can get in really, really big trouble for that. Come on, you're a grown man, you should know better. If you're in college, that's like an insta-fail. And, crediting names in the little sidebar, that's not enough. That's just sort of a kind of, oh, well, here you go, here's the names, oh, well, I was inspired by these people. No, you parroted their words, man, you stole their words. And that, once again, that wouldn't fly in a college class. And this is a very, very low thing for you to do. And I have to say I'm a bit disappointed in you, Brock. I thought you had more integrity than that. However, anyways, this video is basically once again you or babbling about things you don't understand, or more likely you parroting somebody else's words about things they don't understand. But as for selfish behavior and evolution, I think you fail to realize that there are many survival strategies available to a species besides simple self-promotion. As one can see in nature, some animals have even become dependent on cooperating with the others. Animals like zebras or wolves, who have to be able to work together in a group to be able to survive. A single wolf isn't strong enough to take down a caribou and feed itself, just as a lone zebra will quickly be hunted down by lions if it can't run with a herd. So obviously, so-called antisocial behavior isn't always beneficial to an individual and promoted to the same degree that you think it is. I find it very, very strange that you all of a sudden care about homosexuals, even going so far as to count them among the meek and weak when it comes to evolution, and that whole sympathy plea section you had going on in the middle of that video. Perhaps you found a use for them after all, maybe when it comes to proving your points and having them be emotional manipulation fodder. However, no one alive is capable of telling us just what makes one homosexual, so I doubt few would be in a position to give you the honest answers to your questions. Yet, if it is a genetic phenomena, it could still be, in theory, passed down through the generations as a dormant gene through gene-carrying heterosexuals, becoming active under certain environmental conditions. But since we know very little of the specifics, this is largely little more than guesswork at best. We, evolutionists, don't claim to know everything you know. However, to say that there is no possible way of it occurring just shows you have a very limited knowledge of how things like genetics work, because there are ways that genes that could be like the homosexual gene could be sort of passed down, as I have explained. However, one more little thing. Who in this great wide world has given you the authority to dictate the do's and don'ts of sexuality? Do you want to put cameras in people's bedrooms so you can correct this, Brock? And perhaps little, little shock collars around their necks so you can shock them when they deviate? I bet you'd like that, wouldn't you? Except, of course, when somebody was doing it to you. Also, I think calling theism the Sky Daddy theory is a fitting name for it, don't you think? And Brock, please, for the love of science and her horniness, the pink unicorn, please, 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 please take a frickin' poetry class or something before ever tainting the internet with your third grade stream of conscious writing. I mean, seriously, I read one of your poems and my eyes they bled. I cried tears of blood, going, why? Why? How could somebody call this sack of dribble poetry? Like, it's more like a paragraph about a third grader's walking like the park or something in their little language arts day book. Reading this, I want to take a big rancid fish and slap you across the face with it until you go back to like a language arts teacher or a creative writing teacher or something. In fact, just pick up a book of poetry, good poetry, like Robert Frost or something, and kind of compare their work to yours and see that they don't use that. They have things like structure, okay? And your poet is just ugh! It makes me want to go and I want to bang my head against the wall. Oh,